After a less than impressive season for Real Madrid, which has seen them go through 3 managers, crash out the Champions League at the round of 16 stage, and never get near to Barcelona in the title race, it's clear that a big revamp is needed. So with manager Zinedine Zidane back at the helm and a whole load of transfers coming in and transfer rumours flying about, who is going to be starting for Real Madrid next season? First off, let's take a look at the goalkeepers, and it's a pretty harsh one from Zinedine Zidane to his favourite Keylor Navas. He's always stuck by the Costa Rican in the last few years whenever the Real Madrid board have said that they want to sign a new keeper, but it looks as though his luck has run out. According to reports, Florentino Perez told Zidane that he'd have to tell the goalkeeper that he is going to move on, as Thibaut Courtois is the new number 1. As for Lucas Zidane, the manager's son, well, he doesn't look quite up to it just yet. He may never be, so it's definitely going to be Thibaut Courtois in between the sticks. The right back spot belongs to Dani Carvajal. Now, he is a top right back, and even if Real Madrid were going to go and try and find someone else, all of the top right backs in the world are already at top clubs. You'd be hard pressed to find someone who's going to be on the cheap that someone else hasn't already scouted or earmarked for the future. Alongside this, they've got Odriozola, the exciting, promising youngster, but he's not going to overtake Carvajal's spot just yet. Until the Spanish fullback declines or shows real sign of not being up to it, I'm pretty sure he's going to be the right back for the next few years. Moving into the centre of defence, and it's going to be Sergio Ramos. Of course, who else would there be? I know who else. Eder Militao, the £50 million signing from Porto. I'm not quite sure he's going to be brought in to replace Ramos, rather Rafael Varane. The 33-year-old Real Madrid captain has shown fine form as ever, and they'd be foolish to try and replace him when he's got a few years left. So, as briefly mentioned, Militao could be taking the spot of Rafael Varane, but I don't see it happening just yet. I'm pretty sure the French World Cup winner will be starting the season as the number 2 choice centre-back behind Sergio Ramos. Well, technically alongside him. This is because his poor form at the start of the season really was just a flash in the pan. And as I mentioned before, the World Cup champion and 4-time Champions League winner really isn't that bad of a defender. Again, much like with Dani Carvajal, if Real Madrid did want to sign a world-class centre-back, they'd probably spend about 100 million on the likes of Kalidou Koulibaly, so they're probably better off just keeping Varane, who earlier in the summer reignited his desire to stay at the club long-term. Behind him they have got Jesus Vallejo, but again, he's not really pushing the 2 starting centre-backs. That'll be up to new signing Militao. Now into the left-back spot, and that's where things get a little bit interesting. So first off, there's of course Marcelo, the part-time captain and fantastic fullback for the last 11 years at Real Madrid. He is one of Zinedine Zidane's favourites, and it's no surprise when Zidane came back, so did Marcelo. He took the place of Sergio Reguilon, who looks like he won't be playing too much in the future, especially as Real Madrid are just about to sign Ferland Mendy from Lyon. Now, the French fullback definitely looks set to compete with Marcelo, but at the moment I can just see the Brazilian edging in front of him if he doesn't decide to leave. This is because Real Madrid have allowed Marcelo to decide his own future. If he wants to stay, brilliant, he'll probably be starting left back. If he doesn't, well, they'll probably get a fair bit of money for him, with Juventus looking likely to snap up the Brazilian. If he does go, the Reguilon will automatically be moved to the number 2 spot, but Ferland Mendy will surely take the number 1 spot at left back. It looks like a straight fight between him and Marcelo, and I'm just going for Marcelo. So into the 3-man midfield in this formation, and it can only be one player, and that's Casemiro. To be honest, you'd be hard pressed to find a better central defensive midfielder all around the world, aside from N'Golo Kante. If Real Madrid try and sign him, which is not even being rumoured about at the moment, then yes, Casemiro's place may be under threat, but they're not. It's not. He's going to start a central defensive midfielder. He's been a key part of the team, and Zinedine Zidane has said he's one of the most important players at the club for all the balancing work he does. When Real Madrid are attacking, flying forward, he is always there to sweep up the mess. Alongside Casemiro, and it's going to be another familiar face as he's just signed a new contract for the next 4 years, and it's Toni Kroos. The German World Cup winner really has had a pretty good season. Not fantastic by his standards, but a good season despite Real Madrid faltering. As for alongside him, well, there could be his other central midfield partner who may have more to worry about than the German. Real Madrid have been linked with signing Paul Pogba and Milinkovic-Savic, but none of those look too plausible at the moment, so Toni Kroos keeps his position, whereas Luka Modric does not. Not in my team anyway. Luka Modric on the first half of last year definitely deserved it. He was fantastic in their Champions League triumph and then helped Croatia reach the final of the World Cup. But since then, it's all been downhill, and it's no wonder that he's looking to be replaced. That could be by Christian Eriksen. The Spurs midfielder clearly wants a new challenge and has said so in the press, and it looks like £80 million could do the trick for the Danish player who's got 1 year left on his contract at Tottenham. What this does mean is that if the likes of Isco and Asensio want to try their hand at winning a place in the midfield, it's going to be very difficult for them. But the only reason they try it and is not part of the front three is because that is getting ever more crowded with new talents. The first being the next Galactico, Eden Hazard. Now, the Belgian Wizard has had a fantastic year, alongside helping Chelsea into third place, reaching 2 finals, during which one of them he won, which was the Europa League, and also registering more goals and assists combined than any other player in the Premier League. He has definitely earned his dream move, that's a quote from him, to Real Madrid. Now, much like with Christian Eriksen, Hazard had 1 year deal left on his Chelsea contract, so for them to get about £88 million for him, well, it's a pretty good deal for both sides. But where he's actually going to fit in at Real Madrid is a bit of a debate, and I've sort of narrowed it down to 2 formations. So with the 3 midfielders, that's Casemiro lying deep and Eriksen and Toni Kroos, Hazard could play at the tip of the diamond, the number 10 role, behind 2 strikers. Or failing this, he could play on the left-hand side of a front 3, meaning there'll be another winger on the right and just 1 player up front. Who are those strikers or striker going to be? Well, let's take a look now. First off, let's look at Karim Benzema, the ever-present striker who's been banging in the goals for Real Madrid for the best part of the whole decade. Now, his place in the spot has always come under threat, but he's always managed to see that threat off and remain Real's number 1 striker. But Luka Jovic has just entered the fray. Now, of course, these two can play together and they'd be brilliant to be served by Eden Hazard right behind them. But if Real Madrid switch to a 4-3-3 formation, well, things may get a little bit different. Of course, the strike partnership can work really, really well, but in Benzema and Jovic, I see kind of similar strikers. Both of them aren't going to move out wide. Both of them are going to be straight through the middle, looking to get on the end of the deliveries. This would help, but if there are going to be wide players in the squad, if Eden Hazard's going to move out to the left, one of them is going to have to give up their spot to make room for a right-sided winger. Now, this of course means that the likes of Mariano Diaz pretty much doesn't have a look in, especially if there's only 1 striker, but it does mean if there are 2 wingers that the likes of Lucas Vazquez, Vinicius Jr., Rodrigo and Gareth Bale, if he stays, all have a shot at being in the starting 11. If Hazard moves out to the left, I'm going to put one of those guys on the right, most probably Bale, again, if he stays. And through the middle, it's going to be Luka Jovic for me. I know Karim Benzema has been so brilliant over the last 10 years, but with the future up-and-coming Luka Jovic looking like a brilliant signing, and the fact that they spent 52 million on him, means that he's probably going to be in the starting 11. If Jovic can hit the ground running, bagging the goals, then I think it's curtains for Benzema. If he doesn't, though, Benzema could come back in and prove that he has still got what it takes to be the number 1 striker and one of the biggest clubs in the world. So what do you guys think, especially about the attacking formation? Will Real Madrid go with a diamond and 2 up front, or are they going to stick with a 3-man midfield followed by a 3-pronged attack, meaning Benzema and Jovic are going to have to sit on the bench? As mentioned, let me know your thoughts in the comment section below, and you can also click here or here to check out all of the other videos we've got going on Onefootball. But until next time, I will see you guys later.